Talking of adaptability and resilience, I'm sure amongst a lot of shifts that you have made in your career, there were a lot of moments where you felt very different in the new role than what you were doing in your previous role, and you spoke about that as well. How can one become adaptable? How can one become resilient? Are there any tips that you would want to give to the audience listening in?
So, many time in my career, for example, when I moved from the civil service to the corporate, I was theoretically aware that it doesn't work by virtue of just a hierarchical title, position, seniority, right? So you go prepared. When you move to from engineering to the IT world, it is flatter still. You know, that was the first time and possibly the only time I sat out in a open space. Not in a cabin. Otherwise, from
Mhm.
the age of 22, you had your cabin, you had your
True.
secretary, you had all the works. I mean, they are not easy. They sound simple, but it lasted a week. That, my God, I mean, the door is opening and shutting on my face. But I'll confess, because that's not what I had ever seen in my 10, 12 years prior to that. When I became the CHRO for the first time, while 80% of HR in Dr. Reddy's was reporting to me, my worry was the couple of people who were not reporting to me, how would they accept me? They were peers. They all knew that I am better poised for the big job, but would they accept me? How would I do it? The only night I did not sleep, not out of happiness, but out of trepidation. Similarly, when you come to a giant organization like Tata Motors, right, a Fortune 500 company, I had not done that scale. And it was an old established company. I was a young brat, by Tata standards. How would people receive you? Or when I went to Reliance, a conglomerate, I mean, $65 billion at that time. I've never done a conglomerate and I was still 47 or 40, something like that. Or when I started my advisory, all your life you've finally been, a key executive. The world kind of works for you. Suddenly you're a nobody. So the point I'm making is that you have to acknowledge, welcome, and build vulnerability. And that is one reason why many people are not very comfortable with career switches, changing roles, changing jobs, changing companies, because they're not willing to be vulnerable. No one expects you to be Mr. or Miss Picture Perfect. No one expects you to be a virtue of all
So
knowledge,
true.
right?
Mm.
It is self-made. And sometimes the imposter syndrome also plays out, because I know of many people who are in jobs where they know it, they don't deserve to be there, right? The system, they've played the system, they've politically survived in a system, thrived in the system. So I
Yeah.
believe vulnerability is the biggest thing. Second is learnability, which flows from vulnerability, right? Be willing to learn. At the end of the day, there is no rocket science. You have to
True.
just learn from anyone and everyone, the junior most guy. And I think that has been a thing which now, when I look back, has been a strength in me, that I can learn from anyone. I can be vulnerable. I said, I don't understand this at all. I'm sorry, it's too technical for me. Can you break it down into a more visual understanding for me? And I have not met a single person who has said, oh my God, the CHRO does not understand, right? So I think if you're able to blend vulnerability, learnability, and the last thing is, you know, please learn the power of appreciation and gratitude. At
So
the
true.
end of the day, no one is obliged to help you succeed in a new role, either by title, by industry, by company, by culture.
Yeah.
The challenge is we all think, and when I look back, I also know so many people who have now reached certain levels, but I don't think most of them have exhibited gratitude. There are very few
Mm.
people who might say they may feel it, but they wouldn't say that, Prabir, thank you so much. You
Mm.
made a difference to the way I thought. You made a difference. So I think one of the other things that I think is very important, show gratitude. When you show gratitude, people want to do more for you, and the lunch table conversations about you also are a lot softer and nicer. So
Correct.
more people are engaged to help you succeed. And ultimately, careers is a team sport. I mean, it is not a solo exercise. You don't.
Yeah.
Many times people say, I built my career. You never build your careers. People help you build your careers, whether
Correct.
it's the boss, it's the
Absolutely.
peers, it's the team, it's the stakeholders, the clients. And I think it is all about gratitude. So three things: vulnerability, learnability, and gratitude. If you can actually make that you know, part of your psyche, I think you will not only be more comfortable with career switches, you will be successful at career.